There's so many individual performances we could talk about, but Joelinton. Oh my word! I mean,
there was a couple of times he said went to the shops, and I thought they was going to Asda, Sainsbury's, Tesco's. Other shops are available, by the way. You know, it was crazy. Sorry.
No, and after the game, I mean, Eddie Howe said it was like. Every Linton helps. No. Yeah. That's the end of me on this show, I think. Yeah, sorry. But yeah, no, I think after the game, Eddie Howe said it was like having two players on the pitch, and he was absolutely bang on. And you know what, Joelinton has obviously had his injury issues this season, but even when he has been fit, I don't think we've seen him at the level that he can be. That was him at his absolute best. And how much have we missed that, Clinton?
Yeah, it's just like, you know, he's always known for being that brute force, the one who breaks up play, but there you saw the silkiness, you know, the flair is like, I don't know if I want to go to Rivaldo sort of, I don't know, I'm still gassed over the results, so I don't want to go too far, but yeah, he brought that flair, but also brought the robustness in midfield. Like, it didn't feel like it was down to 10 men. So again, he's been a big miss, and with Bruno out, maybe he's the guy to kind of step in and be like, okay, no, the mantle's on me, like the burden's on me. I know Tonali's been stepping up as of late, but Joelinton really took it upon himself to kind of drive in midfields. And like I said, I was very impressed with him.
Yeah, it's a good point about Bruno as well. First league win without Bruno. There have been wins, obviously, in other competitions, but that feels like a big psychological step, I think.
Like, it sounds daft. Like, the players, you know, they know that still usually 11 versus 11. It shouldn't matter so much that one player isn't available. Like, but there will be a psychological lift to that, because the longer that goes on, we haven't won without Bruno. The longer you start giving yourself the excuse, you know what I mean? Like, oh, Bruno's not here today, so nothing is going to be expected of us. And, you know, whether players have got the right mindset or not is another question, but that will be in the back of some brain somewhere. To get the win without him, and to get the win in those circumstances when we needed it that badly against opposition of that calibre, is absolutely massive. Like, Joelinton's a really good one to pull out, because he's had critics this year. He's struggled for form, he's struggled for fitness. He's in much the way that the team hasn't looked like its best self this season. Joelinton's pretty much typified that, because there's been very few games where you'd say that was Joelinton at his best. He's dominated that. He's been brilliant for it, because there's been, you know, he's been in and out. There's been a lot of competitions and whatnot. But there was this great moment in this game where he goes and I can't remember which Man United player it is, but he gets in on his blind side and he barges him out of the way, fairly, wins the ball, and everybody's up off the seat, right? And then he misses a 5 or 10 yard pass, gives it straight back to Manchester United, and you're sitting back down, you're like, oh, that's the problem with Joelinton. Like, he does the hard bit and then he messes up the easy bit.
Yeah.
And by the time that thought's finished in your head, he's covered the ground of his own pass and gone and won it back again. He's now wildly out of position. The whole play's broken down, but he's won it back twice in the space of a couple of seconds. And then I think he went and put it out of play. And you're like, we'll call that net. That's easy. That's come out quite even.
That's a Joelinton summary right there.
I loved watching that, but we've come out relatively even.
Do you know what? We mentioned Trippier as well. Magnificent performance.
Trippier's best game for a long time.
Yes, it should be mentioned that. Someone else I want to give credit to as well, though, is after the red card happened, and I think we all had that sinking feeling, and it felt like we've had this so often this season. Like you said, Adam, you know, great start to a game, and then something happens like that. You just feel like it's the story of the season. Anthony Gordon, who you know was booed by a section of fans during the Everton game when he came off, you know, which was tough for him. Whatever you think about his performance in that game, I just thought that there was that moment where he picked up the ball, and actually when you watch it back, the penalty incident, Anthony Gordon, it's all of his own making.
He gets the ball. He's the one who gets the ball back.
He drives at the box. It's Gordon at his absolute best, wins that penalty, and I just thought the way he took that moment and the game at that moment by the scruff of the neck, I just think he deserves a lot of credit for that. You can argue that maybe, you know, he did look still, I think, in the first half a bit like, you know, it looked still a bit like we've got a winger as a centre forward, and maybe he was struggling a bit. But that moment for me felt really important because of what had happened the week before too.
Yeah, that's Gordon at his best, really, like running at players, just being fearless. You know, I don't like this whole running in straight lines. I like him like a bit tricky, like if he's going to go right, he's going to go left. I like that sort of Anthony Gordon. That's the player that I want to see. That's the player that I hopefully can go to the World Cup and, you know, do England proud sort of thing. So when Anthony Gordon did that and won the penalty and put it away, I was thinking, yes, that's what we want to see, you know. So I think he's really stepped up as of late, especially like when he's... I know I kind of get onto him about stat padding with the penalties and all the rest of it now, but really and truly, he's needed that for his confidence. He's really needed to lead the line, and he has been our main striker so far this season, so credit to him.
Yeah, we've got to talk about Ramsdale.
Yes.
Another performance which was sensational.
Yes.
Really. I mean, some of the saves he made. Obviously, there's the one right at the end where he's tipping it over as it's heading into the top left-hand corner, which is kind of the standout save. But so many other moments from him. Is this the moment, though, Adam, do you think, where he then takes the mantle on, becomes the number one? Because obviously Nick Pope was dropped for this game.
Do you know what I said before, like you see in the Asula moment, like this is just an environment that suits him so well, but you can envisage tighter, like more bitty games, he'd struggle to make an impact. I think the same is actually true of Anthony Gordon. I think because Man United still wanted to press us high, but they had Maguire in, so they didn't want to push the defence up too high behind it. The game was quite open. He found a lot more space to run into and to attack, which he struggles to do sometimes. So I think it suited Gordon very well. I think in the same way, the game really suited Aaron Ramsdale because Man United are, they're no mugs at set pieces, but they're certainly not one of the teams that literally lump high balls onto the goalkeeper, put you under constant pressure. They didn't really close him down, so he had time on the ball, which is very good when he gets. And a lot of their shots were from long, the kind of stuff Nick Pope weirdly seems to struggle with, where he's got a long time to think about how he's going to deal with it. I thought the game really suited him, but that only gets you so far. You've still got to do the important bits, and you've still got to perform well. I thought he was excellent on the ball, especially when we went down to 10 men. The ability to go back to him and not worry about, is he going to look after that?
So refreshing,
is he going to rush his kick?
Yeah.
He didn't. Very rarely did we lose the ball as a result of giving it back to Ramsdale, whereas when we give it back to Pope, the objective for him is just don't make a mistake here. Put it where you've got to put it, maybe keep it in play, but it's not accurate and it doesn't relieve pressure. Ramsdale is brilliant at that, and when they finally did come onto him, he would then play over the top of that and we'd get moving up the pitch. So having Joelinton being that physical and covering that much ground is like having an extra player. But having a goalkeeper who is going to be as comfortable on the ball, if not more so than some of the lads in the back line, that basically gives you another player entirely when you've got the ball. So I thought it really did. It was a game that was going to allow him to show you how good he is at certain things, but he still did, and he deserves massive, massive credit for that. I think there'll be, just in the same way we keep having games where you look at Pope kicking the ball into touch and you think, God, I really wish we'd gone with Ramsdale today. There's going to be some games where Ramsdale's having balls rained down on top of him, and you will be sitting there thinking, I really wish we'd gone with Nick Pope today. There's no perfect scenario, I think, out of the options we got. But I thought he was excellent against Man United.
Also, I've got to give credit where it's due to Eddie for dropping his favourite son, because he loves Nick Pope. He is. You know he is. And that's
no, but you're right. I was a bit surprised, to be honest.
I was surprised. Yeah, I was surprised.
Because rain, sleet, hail, snow, he'll always play Nick Pope, even if he has a howler. Look at the amount of howlers he's had over the years, let alone this season. So he dropped him, and look, I do not want to see Nick Pope for the rest of the season. I'm sorry. I don't want to see...
I guarantee you there will be some point in this season where you're watching corners or throw-ins come in, wishing it was Nick Pope running out again.
Never.
I promise you.
Hand on heart, I can tell you.
I hope I'm wrong.
No, I've seen enough of Nick Pope to say, thank you very much. Thank you for your services. There's a reason why I was looking at James Trafford all these time around and wanting to come to the club, but we've got Aaron Ramsdale, who's more than capable of filling in. We've seen the job he's done against Man United. Thank you very much. He can be the number one to the end of the season. I don't know if he's going to stay longer past then, but for me, Ramsdale can stay in goal to the rest of the season.
I think one of the issues is that Nick Pope, it used to be, and we spoke about this, and you said if you could blend them together as a goalkeeper...
If you gave Nick Pope Aaron Ramsdale's feet, and maybe at the minute Aaron Ramsdale's confidence, you'd have one of the best goalkeepers in the league.
But actually, that's been the issue, because the trade-off has been either shot-stopping or good with your feet. And the issue, I think, with Pope has been that shot-stopping, even if you look at the Everton game, that's then turned into mistakes. So actually, you begin to think, well, if we're going to trade one against the other, you're going to have to take the feet. And then, with the confidence that Ramsdale showed in that Manchester United game and the shot-stopping he showed, look, it is seeming like it will be a shift towards it being Nick Pope. What's interesting is obviously they've got Man City next in the Cup. Usually you'd play I think you'd still play your cup keeper. I know it's a big game, but I feel like Ramsdale probably would have started that game anyway.
Yeah.
So now it's kind of strange if he brings Pope in. Is Pope now the cup keeper? I mean, we'll see how it is. I'm assuming Ramsdale will be playing that game though.
I would like to think so. After that performance.
You can't bring somebody in under those circumstances, have them play that well. And then, to be honest, find themselves in a similar sort of game. Like Man City, a very different team to Man United, but it will be similar in the sense that they're not going to be looking, again, to rain balls down on us from set pieces, and we will have time at the back, and we will want to be more controlled on the ball. It's a game that suits Aaron Ramsdale, and you've just brought him in for another game that suited him and he played really well. So it would be absurd to drop him. Unless have we got Odysseus back yet?
I hope so. Yeah, get John Roddy, get him in there.
John Roddy.
Yeah.
Mark
You can play, Adam. You're a goalkeeper.
I am.
Yes.
What about Mark Gillespie, no?
yeah, get him in. Get him in. By the way,
Get him in here.
Oh, that'd be great. Mark, if you want to come on, you're more than welcome. Obviously, we've picked out a few players there, I think, in terms of individuals where, you know, we've been impressed because at times this season they haven't been that consistent, you know, the likes of Trippier or Joelinton. But I've got to give a shout out to Lewis Hall and Sandro Tonali because they have been so consistent, even when the results haven't been going our way. And once again, they put in, both of them, unbelievable performance against Manchester United. And it's funny because they strangely won't be the players that get the credit or the headlines from that game. But once again, they're showing why they're so valuable.
They're just elite players. Like, we have had to make do in the transfer market. I mean, how many times we talked about this? It was such a bruising summer. We identified players who we thought would take us to the next level, and we've watched them all go to Manchester United, to Liverpool, to Chelsea, everywhere else, to Arsenal. Because the reality is, even if when we're offering Champions League football, we're not offering the absurd salaries they're able to get elsewhere. We simply can't compete with those players if those other clubs are interested. So it's very rare that we're able to go out and go buy somebody who's an immediate top-level player, comes in, massively elevates the squad. We never get those. We go and get the players we can get, and the hope is that they then become players of that level while we've got them. That's what we've seen with pretty much everybody we've bought who's done well. Tonali and Hall are probably right now, with Bruno being out, the two best players at Newcastle United. Yeah. But they weren't signed because, you know, every other club in Europe was looking at them. Like Tonali, we were the only club that came in for him, and we got him. Lewis Hall, Chelsea thought he was a good way to balance the PSR books because they probably didn't need a third or fourth choice left back, but they're now easily two of the best players in that position in the Premier League. That's just the journey we're on. I think it just looks weird to us because we're so used to the developmental trajectory. Players doing well one week and then having to sort of accept that maybe they'll, you know, come and go as the season goes. They are just every week top level players who should be at the very top of this division. And if everybody was to that standard, we would not be 13th. You know, we'd be challenging a lot higher. But they're just games like this. It just shines because they don't have to get you a goal or get you an assist or get you a major. You know, they can look like the third or fourth best player on the pitch, but that quality level is just. It's so pleasing to watch. It's honestly, I love them both.
You don't leave us.
Yeah, I nearly said I'm going to miss them. That's a weird way of thinking it.
Do you know what I love as well?
Talking myself into it.
We've basically picked out every single player who played last night, given them loads of praise. We've compared Joelinton to Rivaldo. That's what happens when you beat Manchester United in the last minute.